Hi, and welcome to your home of spiritual expansion, where you can learn all about your gifts, your purpose, and how to live an abundant life. I am your host, Tanita Sasha, and I am a spiritual teacher, mentor, and healer. This is the Aligned Soul Growth Podcast, and I am so honored that you are here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Beautiful. Welcome to the podcast, Kass. It is so lovely to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me on here. I feel very honored and excited to, chat all things spirituality and whatever else comes up.
Yeah, exactly. I was just saying to Kass before, I really wanted this to be a very intuitive, flowy chat. We're just going to allow spirit to come through and just share what needs to be shared. As you know, the state of the world, there's so much uncertainty right now. We're all dealing with just crazy amounts of energy. So I really want today to be focused on self and what we can do to continue expanding and evolving our being, even when our outside environment is so unstable. But before we start, I'd love to hear a little bit about you, about your journey, about your story, if you wouldn't mind sharing.
Yeah, thank you. My story is a long one, I suppose. It's interesting. I've just kind of shared, I generally, when I talk about my story, I only talk about the last 2 years when I kind of got into spirituality. But I mean, really, my journey kind of started 6 years ago when I really, kind of hit my low point in life, and just over the last 6 years really just trying to reconnect back with myself because I was so disconnected. But yeah, I guess 2 years ago, kind of going through my spiritual awakening, at the time I was a bank manager. And I really just became this completely different person. And obviously, that life that I had created was no longer in alignment with what my soul was yearning for, which was for this deep connection. And I know that I'm here to help other women awaken and kind of go through this journey that literally saved my life. Like, my own mother had me on suicide watch 6 years ago. I was, I had very little will to live. I was 21 and felt like I was going through this like midlife crisis. And so to be where I am today, like so empowered and doing things that my 21-year-old self would not have even dreamt or even dared to do. But I know all of this is really just part of like my soul's journey. So now I'm, I wear so many hats. That's my manifesting generator, side of me. But I think ultimately, I'm just here to help other women just really realize who they truly are and step into that power.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And, I love when we hear histories like this where so many of us who are in this space of helping other women, we've been through the trenches, we know what it's like. And once you are on the other side, when you're connected to self, connected to spirit, it's so hard not to share that with other people. So I so love, where you're at today, and as well as you being able to bring all of those lessons and those challenges, because at that time, I can imagine it obviously wasn't easy, but now it kind of gives fuel to the fire and propels you forward to really help other women who might be experiencing the same, or even just like touches of it. So I thank you for sharing, and I love that. We're very similar in the fact that, I also suffered with anxiety and depression, and it's just such a different mental state when you are truly committed to working on yourself for yourself, right? And for me, the difference was I was living for everybody else. I was living for my parents, for my boyfriend at the time, for my friends. And then all of a sudden something for me just clicked, and I was like, no, wait a minute, like this is actually my life. And that split moment, like looking back, is what changed everything for me. What was it like for you, that kind of transitional period where you had that turnaround?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely resonate. Like, I was not living my life for me. I remember being at that kind of like 18, 19-year-old stage, age, and I went to university to be a high school teacher because I just thought that's what I had to do. And then when that kind of didn't pan out, I got into management and retail because it's a decent paying job. Why not? And then, I got married and I bought the house, and I was ticking everything off this like list that I'd created, that I'd just kind of pulled out of thin air, because that's what you're supposed to do, right? But then I stopped. Like, life threw me a couple of curveballs that made me go, hang on a second, actually, I don't want any of this. And it was, I suppose, kind of went through a bit of a journey, like a weight loss journey. And that, for anyone who's been through a weight loss journey, one of the biggest things that they don't talk about is you lose your sense of self. So I didn't know who I was anymore, because physically I looked like a completely different person. So I feel that that was a really pivotal part in my journey, because I started to go, I don't know who I am. I went through this like identity crisis, and then I kind of went, okay, cool. So who am I?
Yeah.
And I just kind of started with that, and really like went within. And I didn't start on this journey for any spiritual reason. I was literally just going, oh my God, I'm not living the life I'm supposed to be. I don't even know who I am.
Yeah.
And it spiraled and spiraled until I've made my way here.
Wow, that's so cool. I love that. And it's such a great reminder that we are physical beings, right? And
Mm,
our environment, our body, it does play such an important role in who we are. And I think, I went through a very similar kind of disconnection with self, not in terms of my body, but just in terms of, who am I? And I remember remembering that I was a spirit. And so I was
mm,
constantly attached to my light body, but the physical world was really, really hard. And it wasn't until you integrate those two aspects of yourself that you can really come into proper alignment. And I think
mm,
that first part of our life is really about, making sure we got the house and going to school, we've got the education, and our outside environment is really important. But it's really important to marry them both together. So I can understand, going through that weight loss journey and
mm,
reconnecting with your body would have been really, really important for you as well. So that's really cool. I also, wanted to chat with you a little bit about different perspectives of truth and this
mm,
whole kind of idea that, I mean, we can talk about it in terms of spiritual journey, but I'm talking about just in general, where someone can have a spiritual experience and that might be their truth, and somebody else has a different one and that's still their truth. And I want to get your perspective around us having different truths and still kind of coexisting together.
yeah. I look at one of my best friends also runs a spiritual business, and we actually have quite different views on a lot of different spiritual topics.
Yeah.
Ultimately, this universe, this world cannot exist without polarity. And so I just feel like I'm always going to come up against people who have a completely differing view to me, and that's okay. And I just feel like it's like a two-parter. Like, you need to be so strong within yourself and your own truth that, you're not either swayed or get really, I suppose, defensive when you come up against someone
Mm.
like that. And B, just trusting as well that you're going to meet these people because they are going to be able to teach you, or if they don't quite change your point of view, they're at least going to enlighten you to something. I look at every conversation or meeting that I have with someone as a lesson from source.
Mm.
Like I'm talking, I have conversations with people. I'm like, oh my God, I manifested you into my life because you had to teach me X, Y, and Z. Like, that is generally how I look at the people I work with. I look at strangers that I meet. I look at all of them as, a mirror for me to learn some type of lesson from source. And if we have differing opinions, it's because it's trying to teach me something. But
Yeah.
I know just staying within my own truth is always really important.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's that, like, we're so in a world of so many reflections. And like you said, whether it doesn't push you outside of that truth or pull you towards maybe their truth, it can always, trigger you to really think about what is valuable to you, what means something to you, what does kind of feel like your truth. And I think so many of us are struggling right now with what our truths actually are and what that feels like in our body. So do you have any tips around, finding those truths and trusting them?
Well, I guess as well, like your truth can change. So I
Yeah.
think just keeping an open mind to the fact that something is going to happen. So for me, 6 years ago, my truth was, work your 9 to 5 job, have the house, have the 2.5 kids, whatever, like whatever that dream life was. And that changed when I changed. So I feel like first part is just allowing yourself to be open to that. But I think as well, wait, what was the question? I got distracted. That came through.
That's okay. No, how can we find our truth? How can we find?
Yes.
Yeah.
How can we find our truth? I think just, I guess again to the whole thing of like everyone that we meet is here to help us continue on that journey of really finding what that truth is. I just feel like just keeping an open mind, really moving forward with everything.
Yeah, and I totally agree as well. I'm kind of relating to this is when I started to get into manifesting, I would,
Mm,
say I was manifesting like a client or a program or something. I was manifesting something, and then I would see other people get my manifestations, but I wouldn't receive it. And I was like, why am I not getting it? Why isn't it working? And Spirit actually was saying, like, no, we're showing this to you because it's just within your reach. And I feel like that's the same with our truths too. We're shown different perspectives of truth because it's up to us whether we're going to resonate with it or not. And that's ultimately, a part of why we're here. We're here to make choices. We're here to be a free person, a free light being. We're here to, experience all the different perspectives of truth, all the different experiences of life. And I think that that's exciting. And when you come to it with the mindset of, okay, I'm just going to go through the processes and learn and experience, and it's not happening to me, it's just like a learning curve, then it takes so much of that pressure off, right?
Yeah. And I think as well, like one of the aspects that I bring into it is because I mean, yeah, I look at it like this, like we obviously have spirit, we have source, right? Who's, that is that higher power that we can use to guide us through life. But our physical human body has its own innate wisdom as well. So I use human design in my day-to-day life, in my coaching, because there is this built-in intuition point, depending on what our human design is, that is able to help us kind of discern what we should and shouldn't do through life.
Yeah.
So it's like a two-parter for me, which is, because I mean, I obviously connect with source and I receive guidance daily, but also like just moment to moment, like how does it feel for me? Like, what do I want to do? And what feels right can change in a fleeting moment. So just like trusting the different, like we have so many tools available to us. You just have to find out what works for you. Again, trusting the truth.
Yeah, that's so true. And we're so multifaceted, we're so multidimensional. And that's the thing, your body can be saying yes, but then your spirit can be saying no. And you really have to work with these different aspects of yourself, because what might be programmed into your body is not possibly programmed into your soul. And I think that's also where it comes into taking that internal journey and spending time really working out what makes you you, because there are some things that could be placed out of alignment that are keeping you still. And I think that deep reflection is really necessary, like you said, and just using the outside experiences as lessons and reflection points. Before I came on here, Spirit was saying, you can't go, you can go you can't go as deep with us if you're not going to go as deep within yourself, right? And so people are listening to this and they're wondering how to connect with spirit, how to connect with their guides. You really have to take that that journey inwards, what's been your biggest kind of anchoring tool to really connect with spirit? I'd love to know.
I first connected, and it's probably an ongoing practice for me through, I suppose, like sitting down in a meditative state. I wouldn't necessarily call it meditation. I still do my daily meditation, but at the end of it, it's kind of finishing off, and because I do obviously do it first thing in the morning, it's kind of like I'm almost opening my channel to them, be like, hey, what's up? Give me my guidance. But ultimately, they're always here with us, right? So I just feel that by kind of doing that each morning, it's opening me up. And then when I'm going throughout my day, I'm kind of like, open and ready to receive from them.
Yeah, and I love that too. We have to be receptive to it though, right? Like you said, they're always here. They could be sending you messages and you're not even hearing them because we're too in our human, we're too bogged down with what's going on. So that was the same for me, really coming back and quieting everything down and just giving them that time, because we all have spirit guides. We all have the ability to connect. It's just a matter of what you're going to put that energy and flow into to allow to open and grow. So yeah, I'm totally with you on that. I'd also love to chat with you a little bit about, authenticity. And this kind of relates to truth, but I'm talking more of a confidence kind of perspective. And I think sometimes we know who we are, but sharing that with the outside world is where we kind of get stuck. Do you have any advice or anything to kind of say about really stepping into your authentic self?
Yeah. Well, I feel like truly finding out who your authentic self is like so important. I obviously use like astrology and human design to really like nut down like who is my energetic human self, right? But that's only like part of it, right? Because I mean, I know for a fact that I'm here to share my voice, to really talk and use this gift, but it's terrifying at times, even though I know that it's my true authentic self.
Yeah.
I know that this is coming from past lives where I've been a witch and I've been burned at the stake for, speaking out. So it's kind of like knowing who you are, being so true of who that is, and then fighting against the fears anyways.
Yeah.
Because there's always going to be things that I look at me, I was basically bullied for most of my life because I spoke too much. Oh my God, you're loud, you're too much, whatever. But now I realize that my voice is actually a really, really important part of what my soul's purpose is. And so allowing myself to express myself in different platforms, be it singing or podcasts, is just allowing my throat chakra to continue to, spin at the right frequency so I can share my message and do what I'm supposed to do. So yeah, like find out who you are and do the damn thing anyways, because standing in your truth again of knowing that despite how scary this is, despite all those little voices that are playing out in my head right now, I know that I have to do this thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to just trust it.
Yeah, I love that. And isn't it? It's always the case. Our biggest fears always lead to the biggest growth. And a lot of the time, the thing that we're most disconnected with is actually can be our greatest asset moving forward, being, a healer or a reader or just a human being in general. So I love that. And I remember listening to one of your podcast episodes actually, where you were saying that you received guidance from spirit to go and do these singing lessons. And I remember you saying like, I don't know why they were giving me this. Like, I don't even sing, like it was so random, but that I love that, because you've had this challenge with your throat chakra, or just being authentic and having that confidence speaking. So doing something like singing, which doesn't have as much pressure on it and can be a fun way to let that energy flow, I think that that's so beautiful. And we can take kind of that guidance from your spirit guides and apply it to ourselves. If you have, body confidence issues, you can do other things that are fun and free flowy and have, just a little bit of less pressure on it to continue that energy to flow through. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's so interesting as well, though, because this has ended up being so much more than just about my voice.
Yeah.
So the singing teacher that I work with, she's ended up being this kind of like spiritual mentor. She's holistic. She's like, okay, she's like, you're not breathing into your sacral chakra. So she's like, we need to connect up your chakras. And you can do this currently, like you project your voice out in a very masculine way. So let's get you into a feminine way. So after one lesson, I was like, oh my God, okay, spirit, I understand why. Because I'm like I can sing and it's something that I've always enjoyed, but I'm like, why? Like, what benefit does this have to my journey? Why, when I say, what do I need to do next, do you say go get singing lessons? Now I realize that it's so much more than just my voice. Like, this is like another spiritual essence of my journey. And so, yes, when I sat there and received this message, I was like, this makes absolutely no sense. So sometimes spirit's going to come through and they're going to tell you to do a crazy, wacky thing. Trust it.
Yeah.
Because you never know what it'll lead to.
Exactly. And trust is like a whole nother topic, but it is really important we have that trust because you have no idea where it's going to lead to. And I think that's also a part of deepening that connection with both yourself and with your spirit guide, your spirit team, is trust what comes through, trust your feelings, trust your body, trust your mind, because they're going to be the biggest sources of truth for you. It's not about what's outside, what everybody else is telling you. It's about what you feel and what you sense and what you know to be true within yourself. And yeah, trusting that is the next step, but it really does help bring you into complete alignment. So thank you so much for this chat. I've really, really loved talking with you about all these beautiful topics. Would you share with everyone how they can work with you, how they can find you, if you've got any, cool programs, or, how you work with everybody at the moment?
Yeah. So follow me on Instagram, Inspired by Kass, and that is Kass with a K. I do have a couple of like mentoring positions open at the moment, depending. So have a look, connect with me on Instagram or jump on my website. I'm a healer, I'm a tarot reader, I do astrology, human design. As I said, I'm a manifesting journaler. If you know anything about human design, I basically am interested in anything and everything, and I bring that into my coaching. Yeah, Yay. Hit me up.
Thank you so much. I'll put all of your details in the show notes, but thank you so much. It was really, really beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Yay. Thank you. Have a beautiful afternoon. And I hope that, the rest of this lockdown goes a little bit
smooth. Magical.
Yes. All right. Sending you lots of love. Thank you again.
No problem.
Bye. Bye. Hi, and welcome to your home of spiritual expansion, where you can learn all about your gifts, your purpose, and how to live an abundant life. I am your host, Tanita Sasha, and I am a spiritual teacher, mentor, and healer. This is the Aligned Soul Growth Podcast, and I am so honored that you are here. Welcome, welcome, welcome.